I wanted to say, like, it sounds like you're going through kind of like a dark night of the soul, which it's difficult, but I feel to tell you, like, just don't give up on yourself, you know? Like, maybe give up on your ego, which is the old story of like the way that things need to be, or like the story of the person who you've always been. So it's like, I am blank, and it's like that's what you need to give up on. That's what you need to release and let go of instead of yourself. It's almost like you feel like you're being closed down so far, and it's like just shutting down, but it's actually not you that's shutting down, it's your ego, and your ego is the one that has been limiting you this whole time. For me, it was like you're always going to be alone. You have to do this yourself. Like, why does no one support me? Like all of those kind of statements, all of those kind of words, or that's good for someone else, but my life doesn't work that way. All of those things. So it's like that's the ego. On the other side of that is like what you want. If I could imagine my life in any way, it would look like this. It's like that's your actual truth. But it's the ego that tells you that your truth does not exist. And anything that tells you your truth does not exist, it's inherently blocking you. You know what I mean? But the only thing that's blocking you is not like an actual entity. And I feel like this is where like religions get it wrong and stuff like that. They're like, oh, the devil is there and he's blocking you. And it's like, no, it's literally just your own story of how it's always been, or how people have told you like, oh, don't do this so that you can stay safe, or do this so that you can have all of these different things that come with the benefit of not being yourself, basically. So it's like people will convince you that it's like, okay, you can go that way, you can do that thing, but it's not going to get you anywhere. And usually whenever they say those things, it's what's in your heart to go and do, so you have to kind of like fight against the story. But to let go of the ego in the dark night of the soul is to let go of that limitation and to say, I must exist, you know? So it's like there's a reason for me to be here, and to affirm to yourself that it's like I wouldn't be here in this body. I would not, like, my soul would not have found this location to then open its eyes and awaken to the world. It would not have done that if there was no reason for me to be here. Like, all of those things are the reason that you feel you are a creative person, right? And someone tells you like, oh, you can't be that, you can't do that. It's like my soul wouldn't be here otherwise. Maybe it takes some learning to be able to express that in the way that I want to. But that's why I'm here. Like, that's what I'm doing here. I'm being myself. So it's like to let the ego die, and to allow all of those old stories, to just listen to them. And that's what meditation is for, just to sit and listen and be like, wow, I would never say that to myself. I would never tear myself down like that. I would never limit myself. I know that the things that I want to do are number one possible because I've seen someone else do it. I've had a glimpse that this is true. And I want to do them, which means it's possible for me to do them. And just like of my own accord. So I'm going to figure out some type of way to do that instead of allowing this other voice in my head to limit me, and allowing this other voice in my head to win. Like, there's no reason to allow that voice to win. But in meditation, you can become aware of the fact that that voice is not you. That voice is the story from society that they've said, make sure you think this way so that you don't die. Make sure you think this way so that you can, survive in life. But the problem is, you've taken all of that, or at least I had. I followed every single thing that they ever told me to do, and it got me to the point where I had nothing. I was connected to no one, and like wasn't doing any of the things that I wanted to do, you know? So then from there it was just kind of like a layering process of being like, okay, what is the truth here? What makes me feel good? What makes me feel like I'm alive right now? Whatever that is like your soul being able to express itself. And that's why you're here. For your soul, not the story of what all the other souls have ever done. Like, who cares? You're here. Coming directly, like, it's like the energy that comes directly from source, filtering down into this body, opening its eyes, touching this, smelling that, tasting this. You are here to be yourself, not to be this other story that says, like, oh, you need this much money, otherwise you're gonna die. Or you need this specific career, otherwise, you'll just be like, I don't know, unsuccessful or useless or worthless, whatever. Like, all of those things aren't true. All the things that I should have been afraid of yesterday, and then I wake up today and it's like they're not true. And it's not because they're not true just because I decided that they were not true. They were never true. And now I'm like, oh, so I can just live my life? Like, I could just go towards the things that I think should be happening. It's like, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. And there's no reason to like hold on to all of these like fears and insecurities. But you don't know until you know. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't know until you have the experience to say, those fears and insecurities got me nowhere, and I decided to live without them. And when I decided to live without them, now I'm alive.